Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 4, had to think for a moment, of Serenova Crafts. I'm your host, Jessica, and today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2015, and it is the day after Snowmageddon, or more accurately, Winter Storm Juno. Now, I was in one of the hardest hit regions. Our snow total for the storm was 33 inches or almost 84 centimeters. And the current temperature is still what I would call pretty dang cold, because that temperature is 17 degrees Fahrenheit or -8 degrees Celsius. So yeah, it's pretty cold out. Yeah, it's just, sorry, something popped up on my screen and I'd lost track of my camera for a second. I apologize for the pause. I've hidden the keyboard out so I can't accidentally hit the space bar and pause this recording. Because, yeah, I'll just cut what I need to after the fact. If I need to get up and do something or whatever, I'm not stopping the recording for anything, because it takes so long to process once it's finished recording that it's better if I just cut out what I need to after the fact rather than stopping and starting again as I go. As you will notice, I don't have any artificial light today. I'm going by natural light from the window only, which is actually pretty bright because there's a whole crap ton of snow out there. Yeah, my car is still buried. Our parking lot hasn't been plowed yet. And, but the road through our complex has been plowed. So hopefully they'll come into the parking lot when Kevin gets up and is conscious and ready to go out, because it's 12:15 and he's not up yet. We're gonna go out and shovel. So, yeah, that's the plan. Is once I'm done this, once it's processing, uploading, whatever, to then go out and clean off the cars, both his and mine, get them out, move them into spots where they're not like sitting in snow or on top of snow. To do that, I'll probably park mine out in the street in front of the building if those spots have been cleared. If not, I might find a spot somewhere else to stick it in, even if I have to walk a little ways to get to the car, because I'd rather the parking lot get plowed completely rather than, say, having a spot that my car's occupying not get cleaned. And so, yeah, so obviously I didn't go anywhere today. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I will start work tomorrow. I still have to go into Cambridge for it. This has been an extra week and a half where I haven't been able to work because my background check hadn't cleared. Come on, state of New Hampshire, move a little faster. But hopefully I have cleared finally. I got the email this morning that I've cleared. So hopefully I can start tomorrow. Worst case scenario, I start Monday, which is 2 full weeks past where I should have started, but it's completely out of my control, not my fault. And so I don't think the company's going to be mad, because how fast my background check process is completely and utterly out of my control. And it just is what it is. It takes as long as it takes, and that's that. But anyways, I do have some video I took yesterday during the storm, and here it is. So this is our current view of our parking lot. That down there is lawn. That's a snowbank from where they just plowed. And that, right there, that's my car. We've got about 14 inches so far. And here's the view of our balcony. As you can see, it's accumulating slightly. But we have some woods out back. And sorry for the shakiness, but up here, that's the on-ramp for the highway. And normally we can see traffic going by and stuff, but today there's been absolutely nothing. A couple of plows, but that's about it. You can't actually see the snow right now. Maybe a little bit. That was the cat. She's complaining. But yeah, you can't see the snow, but it's really fine, which is probably why my camera's not picking it up. But if you look at this tree trunk, you can kind of see it. But it's really fine, and it's coming down pretty heavy. But unfortunately, it's a little hard to spot on camera. My camera doesn't like it. But like I said, that's about 14 inches, and a bonus shot of the kitty who's running away. There she is. There's Koki. She's been watching the snow. She's got her pillow here. She's been watching the snow.
basically all morning since I got up. So that's about the state of things right now. I mean, we still have power and everything, so I'm not terribly worried about what's going on. And yeah,
And
that's it.
here's a video I just shot this morning out of the room that I'm sitting in now. This is right out, my view out of this window. And here you go.
And there you have it. This is the after effects of Winter Storm Juno. That right there is my car. Excuse my big blurry finger. I'm shooting this through the window of our apartment. As you can see, they have not yet plowed our parking lot again. They came yesterday around midday, but they have plowed the road through our complex, so that's something. So maybe once we get our cars out, we can go park on the street, so that when they come and plow the lot, they can plow our spaces. As you can see, there's quite a bit of snow on the cars. Final snow total was about 33 inches, which is almost 84 centimeters. For those of you who aren't in the US and don't use imperial like most of the rest of the world. Yeah, I mean, it was technically a blizzard, but it wasn't that bad. And yeah, there we go.
I hope you enjoyed those. As you can see, I'm doing a bit more with editing rather than just cutting stuff out. I'm actually inserting stuff now, so that's something. Now, I have finished a couple of things in the last week. Then to get into the meat of this podcast and why you're probably watching it, the crafting, of course. I didn't do too much knitting this past week. I kind of wove a bit. I'm actually wearing what I wove. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I did knit an entire pair of fingerless mitts between the last podcast, the last episode, and this episode. I finished my end paper mitts. There you go. You can see. They're actually a little tight on me, but I do have very small hands. But here, I'll put them on real quick for you. Gotta take this off because that does not fit with the mitts. Nope, doesn't fit. They're a little tight to get on, but I like them. I don't mind them tight. They'd be a little looser if they weren't Fair Isle, because the Fair Isle does decrease the amount of stretch that they have. So as you can see, here they are on. Ta-da! Mitts, yay! But, sorry, things are popping up all over the place. I apologize. I did a couple of modifications. On the top of the mitt here, there's a chart that you repeat for 3 repeats down here before you start the thumb increases, which you can see on the thumb. I show you. This is a free pattern, so I'm not afraid of giving anything away. You can just go on Ravelry and find it. It's free. End paper mitts. Go to the website, print it out, download it, whatever. It's free. So to do the thumb increases, to get to the point where you start the thumb increases, you do a 10-row chart 3 times for 30 rows. And you're supposed to repeat that chart once again when you get to the top of the mitt here. Now, I don't have particularly large hands, which Kevin is always joking about, that I don't have particularly large hands. So I decided not to do that chart repeat, because that chart repeat would have brought it up to about here. Then you add the ribbing and you're getting up to here. And as you can see, my pinky is slowly disappearing. And I like being able to type when I'm wearing fingerless mitts. And the problem is that I was actually trained how to type properly. So I use all 10 of my fingers when I type. I actually type properly. I know many people in my generation don't. They kind of taught themselves to type. But my mom bought me Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing back when I was a little kid. And so I actually learned how to type properly, like full QWERTY, all 10 fingers typing. And so when I type, I like being able to move my pinky and hit all of those keys that I'm hitting with my pinky, like you're supposed to if you type properly. I got my mug again. It's my favorite mug. I use it all the time for everything. Though we only have like 4 mugs in the apartment, so I have a ton of mugs at my mom's I need to bring over here because honestly, I'm using the same mug over and over and over again. I mean, great, I do wash it. I swear to God, I wash it. But yeah, having different size mugs and stuff would be good, so I need to bring some over. I have a nice oolong in there. I actually got it on sale because I'm a bit of a tea fiend, but I never would have bought this tea at $10 an ounce. But it was on sale for like 2 15-ounce. So, hey, it's a really nice one. Okay, I'm gonna take these off. It's actually really warm in here. Like, we're talking like mid-70s in the apartment, so like I really don't need to be wearing fingerless mitts at the moment. I really don't. And I'll put my little, this is a fitness tracker that I wear. It counts like steps and stuff. And so if I'm wearing pants that have pockets, I tend to stick it in the pocket because it's a little more accurate tracking my steps when it's on my hip rather than on my wrist. But my pajama pants, which I am wearing right now, which you can't see, don't have pockets. So I'm wearing it on my wrist like you're supposed to. Because it also is a sleep tracker, so it tracks your sleep. So I wear it basically all the time. And it's even waterproof, so you don't even need to take it off the shower. Good times. So now for the weaving, which is hanging around my neck. Wrong side. I wanted to untwist this side. This is some, I have the tag around here somewhere. Where did they go? Ah, there they are. Found the tags. This is, oh, the price is still on them. You guys don't want to know how much I paid for this. Especially because I got it on sale. Okay, you can't read the number. This is KFI Luxury Collection Luxury Silk. And it is 100% silk. Raw yarn made in China, hand-dyed in Chile for Knitting Forever Incorporated, which I guess is what KFI stands for. It's 100 grams, 225 yards, or 230 meters. It's 5.75 stitches per inch on a US 6. So here's the label. Focus. There you go. Yay, it focused. You can see I ripped off the price tag real quick. So, I got 2 colors, which are creatively named, 102 and 107. But it's a light gray and a pink. Now, I used the light gray as the warp on the loom, which is the stuff that goes long ways. And I used the pink as the weft of the loom, which is the stuff you actually use to weave going side to side. So I have tassels at one end. I'm just going to show you the one end because both ends look the same. So there you go. You can see the gray. Now, I wanted a long and narrow scarf, and I got long and narrow. As you can see, it's pretty long. It's pretty long. This is unblocked, and you do have to block weaving. You can't just take it off the loom and wear it like I was doing. You should block it. This is unblocked because it literally came off the loom about a half hour before I started to record. I literally finished weaving this morning while watching some stupid ghost show on demand. Came in here, turned on my computer, got my notes up, and started recording. So literally, I finished this and I came in and recorded. So it hasn't been blocked yet, and the silk is does it say what the wash is? No. Well, it has all the little symbols, but I don't know what all the little symbols mean. See the little symbols? Come on, focus. Come on, my hand's in focus, but the label isn't in focus. Like, what the frig? Come on. Excuse my language. Anyways, you can see the little symbols. That's not going to focus right now. I don't know what they all mean, but considering it's silk, it's probably not machine washable. I'm going to go with its hand wash, don't machine wash, and I have no clue what the other 2 are. And I took guesses at the 2 that I did, because there's 4 symbols. So, yeah. But it's really nice. I don't know if I'm going to keep it for myself. I'm actually not a huge pink person. Sorry, I'm just folding this to get it out of my way. But I'm not a huge pink person, but I don't know. I like this pink, I think because there's a little bit of purple in it, and it's a little on the darker side. Like, you will never, ever find me wearing bright pink. It's never, ever going to happen. Not in a million years. I have been doing some spinning, which is sitting right here conveniently. And the cup does look a little different this time, so I can hold it up and it'll look different. It won't look like it's the same thing like last week when I didn't bother. So as you can see, I started winding it on differently because it was being difficult with the way I had been winding it. So I started winding it on differently. I still have probably 20 grams or so of the first 2 ounces left. I know I'm mixing my units. Just go with it. Just go with it. Sorry. But yeah, and then I can start the second. So if I can finish that by the end of Saturday, I'm on track for my goal for the despackle. because I want to get the first 2 ounces spun in January, and I'd already started, and I didn't start the despackle until like 2 weeks into January, so I figure it works. And then if I can get the second 2 ounces spun in February, I then can ply the beginning of March, which plying is not going to take long. Plying takes a lot less time than the actual spinning. And once I've plied, I can, at the beginning of March, I can then have the rest of March and all of April to actually knit the shawl. So that's my goal. We'll see if it happens. I can make no guarantees. Especially because I'm going to have a lot less free time starting either tomorrow or Monday because I'm going to be working. So my free time is going to go a lot less of it. So I do know what I'm going to weave next, but I had a slight problem with the project I just showed you. Now, you're supposed to do calculations to decide on how you can, how do I explain this? There's a fair amount of math in weaving. And when you warp a loom, you need to know how wide to make the warp and how long to make the warp. Now, the way I warped this scarf that I just finished, I literally clamped it to the desk. I'm shaking it so you can see the desk. I literally clamped it to the desk my computer is on. I took that white table and I put it all the way in the corner over there. And I bolted my loom to the table over there in the corner. And the thing that the yarn wraps around when you're warping the loom, I clamped that to the desk. So that got me like 10 feet because I was going diagonally in the room, but not completely diagonally because it wouldn't fit all the way. I couldn't do a full diagonal because I couldn't get completely from one corner to the other because I had to be able to get in there to actually maneuver the yarn in the way I needed to. So, so I tried to do the math I needed. I'm trying really, really hard not to say warp calculations because I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, and I didn't think when I Googled warp calculations that I needed to put the word weaving in there, because when I first Googled it, all I got was how to calculate warp speed for the Enterprise or Voyager or whatever ship in the Star Trek universe. You know, it was what are the warp calculations needed for the warp bubble, or what is required for warp travel bubble, you know, what were Zephram Cochrane, I know his name right, what are like Zephram Cochrane's warp calculations? No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted weaving warp. Fortunately. So then I realized I needed to put the word weaving in there. And I found a website that had all of the math done out. The problem was that I didn't know how long to make the scarf. Because I wanted to use all of the yarn because it's silk and it was a little expensive and I wanted to use as much of it as possible. So I kind of worked backwards through the math. This is when having taken a few calculus classes comes in handy. Though basically it was just algebra. It wasn't even calculus. This was just basic algebra. So I worked my way backwards through the calculations. I put in how long I wanted the scarf to be, how many yards I had, and then it told me like how wide to make the warp. Now, obviously something went wrong because this is my leftover warp. I have just over a foot here of leftover yarn. I tied a knot in it to keep all the strands together. So, I slid it off the loom on this end. You can see all the little loops. So the loops, yeah. And this is the end I cut the scarf free from. You can see all the little tails. See? There we go. So obviously, something went wrong. I probably could have gotten another 2 or 4 strands of width out of the scarf if I'd made it just a tad shorter. Because this is a fair amount of yarn. And unfortunately, I now have a lot of strands. I now have like 35 some odd strands here. Now, I can totally do something with this. They're long enough that I could make like a bunch of hexapuffs out of them or something, which is probably what I'm going to do because I am working on a beekeeper's quilt, which is, you know, all the little hexaposts put together. That is a paid pattern. It's $6 on Ravelry. I'll link it in my show notes if I remember to listen to my recording and put it in my show notes. See, now I'm playing with this now that I'm holding it. So I had this much left of the warp. As you can see, that's a fair bit because it's wider than my shoulders. But the pink, which was my weft, I had this much left on. One strand at 14 inches. So you can see that there is a rather large difference between this and this. I did something wrong. Considering it's only the 5th thing I've ever woven ever, it's probably some novice mistake that I just haven't figured out yet and I don't know how to fix. I'll probably figure it out. You know, I'll probably do some reading online, do some research, look up some books, see if I can't find something that explains it. But yeah, I did my warp calculations wrong and I had all this extra left over. So, but the way I cut it off the loom, which is not the way you're supposed to cut it off the loom, I actually did it not the way I was taught. Because the way I was taught was all these little loops, you're supposed to cut them on the rod that's holding it in the loom. But I knew if I did that, I'd have even more shorter strands. So instead, I cut closer to where I'd finished it so that I could have long strands, because you double them up. So if I'd cut them at the loops, I would have cut all of these single strands into 2. And that would have been a lot of ends. And then I really couldn't have done something with it. But the way I did it, the way I cut it off the loom, I could actually do something with this leftover, which is good because it's silk and it's nice. I do know what I'm going to want to do next. I'm going to do something very similar again on the loom, and this is some mink yarn. This is it's Lotus Yarns is the company. Mimi is the specific kind of yarn, and it is 100% mink. 300 meters, 50 grams. It's a lace weight. They've had this at my local shop for ages, and they just got new colors in. And I actually have some white that I'm planning to make probably a cowl with. I have 2 skeins of that. That was a birthday present I bought myself. Not this past birthday, but the birthday before. So I have this light gray. There we go. So I have this light gray. And this is going to be another weaving project. It's going to be a scarf very similar to that one. And then I have this, it's like a burgundy. It's like a deep, like Merlot kind of color. I pull it back a little. I'm trying to tilt it so the light hits it, but yeah, this is not coming up on camera at all. No, not working. I tried. It's like, imagine it's like a deep, winey, if I hold it up to my face maybe. There you go, right on the outside here, you can see the color. It's a very deep, rich, it's almost like blood colored. But this is going to be my next scarf, and this is going to be the warp, this is going to be the weft. And hopefully, I do my calculations right, and I don't have a big strand left over, like this. We shall see, I'll let you know how that goes. Let me stick the tag back with it, so that I have the tag. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now that pile of yarn there, that purple pile, is going to become a cowl. I had a friend of mine yesterday tell me about a cowl knit-along project she was doing, and she showed me the pattern, and it turns out you could get it for free if you entered the knit-along. So why not? I'm actually not doing the weight of yarn. It calls for a DK, but I'm going to be doing a worsted weight. Considering it's a cowl, I'm not terribly worried. I also have over 100 yards more yarn than I need if I was using DK, because I have like 600 yards there of that, and it calls for like 500 yards of DK. So I think I'm good. Plus I knit so tightly that I can knit that down to a DK. That is Araucania Melondon. I have the tag here. It says Araucania Melondon. I'm covering the price. I got this at a place called Tuesday Morning. It's this weird little random shop. I mean, it's got like a little bit of everything. It's got like got like bedding, it's got kitchen stuff, it's got yarn, it's got suitcases. It doesn't really have a lot of clothing, but it's kind of one of those like catch-all shops that like they get the extra leftover from factories and stuff. It turns out Melodin, or however you say it, honestly I have no idea how to pronounce this thing. It turns out, according to Ravelry, this was discontinued, which might be why it was in the bargain bin at a shop like Tuesday Morning. But it calls for a US 6 needle, but the pattern for the cowl calls for a US 4. So I think I'm going to split the difference and use a 5. Because I'm still knitting down the yarn from the gauge it says on the label. But I'm knitting up, which I would normally do even if I was on a DK because my gauge is so tight. I'm not going to do a swatch, but for me, usually going up a needle size gets me pretty darn close. So I'm going to be knitting down the yarn and knitting the pattern up a needle size because I'm splitting the difference and going to use a US 5. And I'm pretty sure I have a circular. If not, I have interchangeables I can put it on. It says to use straights in the pattern, but I'm not going to bother with straights. Actually, I haven't used straights in a long time. I've just kind of, it's better for my wrists to use circulars. So I do. It's just a thing. Let's see what my notes say. Sewing. You can't really see it, but on this table here, I have fabric all out. I was cutting the pieces for my quilt block of the month. I'll probably have finished at least one of the blocks I need to make this month because it's more than one block. It's like a main block and then some filler blocks that we're going to get every month. So I'll probably have the main big block, which is supposed to be 9 inches, done by next week. Because I have all those cut, I just need to get my machine, which is under there behind that bag, and that bag is what I keep my loom in when I'm not using it. So behind that bag is my sewing machine, and I need to get that out. I need to put that back on the table, decide what color thread I'm going to use, because there are some crazy fabrics here. Like, we're talking some crazy fabrics. Nope, wrong one. I'm organized, I swear. No, not really. So I have, I showed you these last week. I have like this and that. As you can see, these are scraps from my cutting the triangles I needed. Oh, and this diamond one is, and I have that. Yeah, they're all a little crazy. So that's for the center color block. That's for the big block. And I have all the pieces cut, I just need to sew them. But I've been trying to decide what color thread to use. And I think I'm just going to use a cream that I have, because it's a good neutral, and it's not like black or anything, because sorry, I'm trying to do something while talking to you folks. This is not working. I should just focus on podcasting. Focus on podcasting. Focus on podcasting. So I don't think a black or any of the darker colors I have, because I have like a really bright red and a blue and stuff. But I want to keep the thread neutral, which means black, white, gray, cream, one of those. So I think I'm going to go with the cream, because I don't really like the black. I think it would stand out too much on some of these brighter fabrics, and trust me, I have some bright ones in here. But I think the cream would work really nicely. So I'm going with the cream. I have to wind a bobbin of it because I don't have the bobbin that goes on the bottom of the machine. I don't have one of those wound yet, so I need to wind the bobbin, but at least I have an empty bobbin I can put it on, which is always a good thing. As for what's on the needles, not much is within arm's reach. It's kind of been scattered over the house over the last few days because I've been knitting in the bedroom, I've been knitting in the living room. So like my hitchhiker's in the living room next to my loom, which is on the couch. My catkin is on my side table, on my side of the bed in the bedroom, because I was watching TV last night and I was working on my catkin. I have a shawl that's in hibernation on the floor here, but it's in hibernation. I haven't knit on it in months, so why would I show you that? Yeah, I don't have anything in reach. So unfortunately, I can't show you anything, but I did have the 2 finished objects. So I had the mitts and the scarf, which is always good. So finished objects are good. But yeah, other than the mitts and the scarf, it wasn't too much of a productive week. I have been thinking about making some of my own project bags because, like, I like bags I see and I like the bags I have that I got from my local shop, but I always want to tweak them a little. So I'm thinking I might try to make my own. I'll probably just do like just very simple sack bags at first because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a sewer. But you know, I can always try. See how things go and go from there. Um, I mean, it's an experiment. I can get a couple of yards of scrap at Joann's and fiddle. You know, or maybe I'll just get some cheapo muslin or something and fiddle. See if I can't find a shape that I like. I can't guarantee any progress or anything for next week. I can't guarantee getting anything done of that for next week. This is all very tenuous, nebulous plans for me to try something. Because I would like to increase my sewing skills, and bags are something small that you can do. But if you mess up, no one does know that. Or, well, I would probably tell people about it because, you know, I like to share lessons I've learned and I like to help other people not make the same mistakes I've made. But at the same time, I'm not really looking to turn this into a business or anything. Like, yeah, if I end up selling a few, great, sure, fine, whatever, like, great. But this is more just for my own personal use, gain, learning. You know, maybe 6 months down the road, I'll change my mind. Maybe in 6 months, I will have designed this really awesome bag and I want to share it with everyone. And yeah, sure, in that case, I will. But, yeah, I have no plans on selling anything at the moment. I think it would be cool to do something like that, but I don't think I have the skills. I probably have the drive. You know, I probably have the ability to, but I have not yet mastered the sewing skills necessary to do something like that. Plus, there's so many people making awesome bags out there anyways. Like, go buy stuff from them. They make awesome bags. I'm just really super picky, and I'm having trouble making up my mind and having trouble deciding what I like in a bag. And like, I like this from that bag and that from that bag, and I like the drawstring on that one, but I don't like the zipper on that one, but I like the shape of the one with the zipper, but, you know, so I'm just really super picky, I guess. You know. And I already have like a bajillion tote bags. I mean, that thing down there, that's an LL Bean bag. Well, that's one of their massive LL Bean bags. My loom barely fits. Barely fits. I have like a ½ inch to spare to zip it shut. I mean, it barely fits, and that's like the big LL Bean bags. By the way, in case you're wondering what loom I have, it's a 15-inch shacked cricket loom. It's a rigid heddle. And by the way, the heddle I used for this was a 12 dent. I used a 12 dent reed for this, which is technically for fingering, and this is DK, but it's a like really thin DK, like this is almost sport. So I used the 12 dent reed for this, and I'm going to use the same reed for the mink here, because that's lace. And I don't have like a 14 dent reed, I just have the 12. So I'm just going to use that. And I have a reed that is made for worsted as well. So I can do DK worsted. So I can basically do everything up to except super bulky. So I can do lace, fingering, sport on the 12 dent reed. And I can work down DK. But like I said, this was almost a sport. This wasn't a true DK. A true DK, I'd probably have to use the 8 dent reed for. And I can do DK worsted, and I can, if I'm stretch it really tight so that it thins out, I can do a bulky on the 8 dent reed. So I can pretty much do everything except for super bulky. Pretty much do just about everything. And Iran is in there too, because worsted and Iran, here in America, they're very similar. We list them as separate, and Iran is slightly thicker, but it's not bulky. Usually an Iran yarn just has more plies than a worsted yarn. At least here in the US, that is my experience. I do not claim to be right or wrong. I do not claim to be the authority on that. In my experience, Iran weight is simply a heavier, more plies worsted. But they're basically the same thickness. At least here in the US. At least the stuff I've bought and used, it's about the same. So I think that's it. I will lean over casually so I can put my information here. Oh, I didn't need to do the arm movement for that. But, yeah, so next week I probably won't be filming in daylight again, especially if I've had to commute in for work. We'll see how it goes. I won't know when I'm going in until I get the email back about when the next training group starts, in which point I'll be starting with them. So next week we'll probably, I might actually even record on Tuesday night and upload this on Wednesday, or set my like WordPress to push and post at like midday on Wednesday, and also like wait to publish my YouTube video to the same time. I might do it at lunch or something if I have to go in on Wednesday. So I might record Tuesday night, or I might record Wednesday night to go up Thursday. I haven't made up my mind yet. I will make up my mind sooner rather than later, because I'm going to have to make a decision on that. But hopefully I can start work soon, and hopefully at the next recording I can tell you how the new job's been going. That would be good. Working is good. Having income is good. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is actually going to be one of my longer videos. And yeah, I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.